It's Effortless versus dooi up next for week number 8 of Stage 2 of the Quake Pro League. My name is Ketchup, joined by the forever talented Flea on the desk today. And I guess kind of running in the themes of players that are on similar areas of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
This is kind of another one of those. Effortless is one of those players that if he has some disastrous weeks, he becomes potentially on the chopping block for relegation. dooi, on the other hand, is a player that has kind of gone in, as many Outlaws do, all guns blazing for Stage 2. And he's got a lot more points than maybe some people would have expected, and he's won against some really notable players in the Americas, right? I think he's doing quite well, and is this going to be a continuation of that? And is Effortless going to have to really start worrying at this stage? I guess we'll find out soon.
Yeah, because dooi came from the Challenger League that we were discussing earlier, meaning that he took over the points of one of the players down below in relegation zone, and he's been doing really well for himself. He's only lost 2 games in Stage 2 of the Pro League, and like you said, he's really upset quite a few of the top names within the American side of the scene. So dooi, very interesting player.
Now, I believe we have Effortless to go over first. Effortless is a player that we're more than familiar with at this stage. He can be kind of up and down, I suppose, as a lot of players kind of within often kind of considered that kind of mid-area of the league are. They're not always going to have amazing days, and sometimes maps just really will be kind of disastrous for them. But when Effortless, when it works for him, it works damn well. When he has those good moments, they're exceptionally good moments. I do think he kind of has his work cut out for him from dooi today. If he can defeat dooi, fantastic result for him, and quite a message to send, because right now it kind of feels like dooi is kind of running a tear on quite a few players in the Americas, and what Effortless really has to try and do today, not only for the obvious side of his leaderboard placement where he wants to avoid relegation, but just send a message that just says, I'm not just another one of these players that you're going to be able to run through.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. Like you said, Effortless, what you see in his playstyle, I think is also reflected in his placements or his match results so far. His performance in Stage 2 has been much more of a mixed bag than what we've seen from dooi. He has his occasional moments of brilliance, but then every so often he does lose a match and a map here and there. And very interestingly, both players lost their final map against the same person, Dramis, who seems to be coming out of nowhere to just take some faces left and right. But on that note, we're going to take a quick look at dooi's player's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, dooi is just, when we talk about his playstyle, he's one of the slowest players we have out there, period. I'll never forget that when he kind of made his re-debut games, I guess you could say his debut games with time limit duel in his relegation matches. That's always going to be one of my favorite replays. Even the smile on his face there for that one. He is always kind of characteristically a slow-paced player. And in a LAN setting, when he hadn't played in LAN in quite a long time, at least a year, he had even less, I guess, confidence in some of those moments where he was like, if I'm not 100% sure I am going to win this fight, I'm not even going to mess with it. And there are elements of that kind of reflected in his weekly games. He has got more confidence now, but that absolute core of playing at a snail's pace and happily able to take a map to a 1-0.
Yep.
The way I'm thinking of this, though, is Effortless is one of those players that we've seen in Quake Pro League on multiple occasions get kind of vocal in the chat, show the opponent that he feels a specific kind of way about how a fight might have happened or how a map went at the end of things. Like, tilted is not the word I want to use, because It's not that, because you don't ever see him in his gameplay where he's visibly super frustrated, but he can be quite vocal sometimes that he's been, he's felt a certain way about something. dooi's extremely obnoxiously slow playstyle, is that gonna bring that out of Effortless? Is it going to force him to make mistakes? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could. I think that one of the best ways to describe dooi is he's not playing for any beauty prizes, right? He is not playing to win himself any favors or to get on the public's good side. He is playing to win, and he will do whatever it takes. And I think, like what you just mentioned, if playing slowly like that is going to bring out the worst in Effortless and set him off maybe a little bit here and there, dooi will have no issues doing just that.
And he'll have a smile on his face while he's doing
absolutely.
it. He's going to win, he's going to smile at you, and he's going to shake your hand. And that's all there is to it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the dooi that we know and love. But we have got the map rotation. We can find out what the picks and bans are going to be. And interestingly, Awoken up first. Effortless with the Galena. We have seen his Galena more than once, absolutely, with the Ranger coming out from dooi. Strog and Pika coming out from dooi on Blood Covenant with the Doom Slayer on the side of Effortless. And then finally, Molten Falls with the Scale Bearer removed away from dooi, which we've seen that multiple times actually, because the Scale Bearer has, in the hands of dooi, has been quite dangerous on occasion, but the Sorlag instead, trading one big body for another.
Yeah, we saw a lot of Sorlag in the highlights when we were introducing dooi earlier on, so it's definitely a champion he's no stranger to. But of course, I think the one character that all eyes will be on is dooi's Ranger, because of course the dooi orb is famous within the Quake Champions community for taking so many names with these beautiful long-distance orbs. So I think that's just something you gotta look out for today.
And they're exceptionally important on Awoken. You know, how many times have we seen a Ranger player just strong-arm their way onto a Mega, right as the opponent's kind of set up shop, bam, orb goes in, damage is done, you're dead, I now have control, thank you very much, see you next week in the Quake Pro League. So that could be potentially foreshadowing here, Effortless. With the hands of Galena, though, we've seen Galena do wonderful things on Awoken. The totem placements, they just seem to get more and more creative every week, don't they?
I mean, we've seen some really interesting things come out of players like Kron, like Razy, with hiding their totems where the sun don't shine, and people just unable to find them for the entirety of the match. But as you said, Ranger, of course, a massive threat on this map, because there's so many places where you can use the orb to get from one side to the map to the other in ways that no other champion can. So a lot of interesting matchups here. And then on Blood Covenant, we've got the Doomslayer, a lot of mobility, of course, with the double jump, going up against the Strog with that slide.
And removing the slash and then picking the Strog that says, I'm going to take it away, and then I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
How about that? How about that, mate? Take that.
Yeah.
Actually, removing the slash away from Effortless is also one of those factors that, you know, we've seen actually some of his, I suppose, biggest highlight reel moments come from slash.
Oh yeah.
So you know, there's always an element of a both, I think, map ban from that, where sometimes you don't really want to face off against slash on Blood Covenant because she's just almost like an Athena. She's just a massive headache. But at the same time, taking that away from Effortless is also quite an element of respect.
Oh yeah,
there.
absolutely. Effortless and Dramis, two of the most famous slash players on the American side of things. But here we go. First map of the second series of the day. It's Effortless versus dooi. We're starting things off on dooi's point of view.
Got himself a pretty okay spawn. Got himself the LG ready to rock. Tri-bolt for some early damage, but actually, dooi orb right there to save his skin. That was almost a 15-second ring out right there. However, it is allowing Effortless to make chase, and dooi, fresh off the spawn. The thing is, there's going to be some small pickups around here, but his health might be quite predictable. You know, Effortless, he might have a pretty strong gauge of how weak doooi's likely to be here. There's no armor to pick up anymore, so.
And that was a very important rocket to hit from dooi. That one direct 100 damage more or less saved his life right there and stopped Effortless from just being able to push in and steamroll over him. dooi now having to switch to a more passive playstyle. He knows that Effortless has taken both of the major items. I think both got a pretty good idea of where the other is. Effortless doing a few crouches right there. We can see a dooi, of course, can't without the spectator X-ray that we've got, but things are slowing down a lot right now, and it's definitely because of dooi taking the initiative to play more passively.
Even with the orb ready to rock, the danger is that, yeah, he knows he's had to give up a lot of control. Heavy's just about to spawn, and has spawned now for Effortless, who's looking like it's going to be his next objective. And yeah, dooi's waiting for the information, I think. Can he hear any of the rockets go off? Can he hear any weapons that give him just some information that it's time to safely move around? But this is the dooi we're familiar with. You know, if he's not 100% confident or 100% sure that it's safe to move, he won't move. The thing is, though, he is kind of low on rockets, so he has to be very mindful of that.
Yeah, and he also was just waiting there for the small armor to spawn. He picked up one of the small armors and was like, you know what, I'm just going to sit here for another 30 seconds. I don't have to move, and I'll take it when it respawns. No rush, I'm in no hurry, and neither should you be. But here we go, we're going to see a confrontation. Rockets, orbs, everything flying around, but it's the rail from Effortless that will connect and get himself the first frag of this matchup.
Looking completely unfazed by dooi so far. Got some wonderful control at the very start and kind of just kept dooi on the end of a leash, really. And the second it was time to go in, he did more than just that. dooi kind of doing what he can with the orb, trying to maximize the damage in that situation. But at the end of the day, Effortless, with the crazy levels of control he had, was stacked. And that rocket, really nice stuff there. Going to be swiftly shut down, though, thanks to the totems. Oh my! Welcome to Awoken, ladies and gentlemen.
And another big difference we're seeing now is that dooi actually has the railgun. He didn't have that in that first life that he went down, but he finally managed to get a hold of it. and that might change things around a little bit. Railgun is of course a weapon that allows a lot of players to play that passive way that dooi loves so much, because you can keep doing relatively consistent damage at a long distance, and that might be exactly what dooi needs. Mega is up. Looks like Effortless is delaying the pickup. I don't know if he's got timing on Heavy. I don't think Effortless actually knows when Heavy is up.
So there's barely a delay between Heavy and Mega at this stage. Even if there was an attempt, they're going to simply trade it back and forth here. Oh, dooi. Does he know he's there? Able to elude the tri-bolt. Is he off? No, not quite. Almost half expecting dooi to set up that for a potential ring out. And there was the totem that Effortless placed a little bit earlier when he collected Mega. It's going to do a little bit of damage for dooi. Not that it really matters, because Effortless is one weak man right there. He needs to try and get himself some stack and get out of there. Otherwise, doi's going to risk getting one of those rails. And you're in a bad spot. Wonderful re-navigation, and this is the benefit of Ranger.
Yep.
You know, the fact that you can use the orb not just for damage, but to set up just essentially getting two of the major pickups at arguably the exact same time.
Also, just really clever positioning from dooi. Instead of waiting for one of the items, either Mega or Heavy, he put himself in the middle of the map so he could kind of keep track of both of them, keep an eye on both the health and the armor on the map, and then just decide, you know what, I'm going to go Heavy first, and I'm going to orb right back to Mega and secure them both. And here we see that dooi definitely is capable of more than just playing passively. Faking out a rocket jump. Effortless looking the wrong way. Dooi's gonna miss that shot, and he will have to give up Mega.
But now with it being a 1-1, pretty even split with the stack, just kind of mirrored, I suppose. Ranger with crazy armor means he has to be a little bit less careful of his own safety point blank. Ranger's passive will always make those point-blank fights just in his favor. You know, you can just shoot the ground, maximize your hundreds, and really not worry about the damage that you're doing to yourself. At the end of the day, it just maximizes your chance to do crazy damage. And now, Rocket, a little bit too slow on the mark there, Effortless. The idea was there, just a little bit too late. Now 5-minute warning. On the verge, 1 frag each. It wouldn't be a dooi game with no frags.
That's of course the downside when you make a play like dooi did earlier with the orb. You essentially gives yourself almost no time to repeat the same rotation the next time around. And by not having the orb ready the second time, he just wasn't able to get back to Mega fast enough to stop Effortless from doing anything about it. And in doing so, he allowed his opponent to get the Mega. And now control is kind of split. Neither player really taking a lead right here, exchanging damage equally too. But dooi, he's the one who picked up Mega later. He has got the superior stack right now. Can he press his advantage and make something happen? Both players eyeing the small armor. dooi will break away.
There's no totem for Effortless either, which means if that point-blank fight breaks out and the orb comes through to try and burst it down, the potential for Effortless to just kind of stick a totem on the floor to heal up, not going to be possible. So if dooi plays his cards right point-blank and can maybe even set a trap here, there's a chance. Unfortunately, with that rail missing, not going to quite be an avenue for dooi. And the exit damage is good for Effortless because it allows the combination of just lots of armor, lowering the stack of dooi. But now, who's going to get the next big play? That's the question. Even item timing. But again, you know, both players, they'll hit a rail here and there, but they do it so rarely in between that it's not really enough to lay foundations, you know, for what could be a potential fight coming up. Both players happy to somewhat disengage at the moment, you know, with both items coming up at the same time. Simply going to trade it out again? Looks likely that's going to be the case.
Yeah. dooi hesitating for a moment. You could clearly see he was considering a rocket jump, but I think he realized that he didn't have the time, and that Effortless was already waiting for Mega, ready for him to make an appearance. A little bit of damage coming out of that rocket right there. dooi gonna reposition, try to loop his way around the opponent, catch him out of guard, but Effortless just taking control of that middle section of the map, also known as T, and just holding steady.
And I like this from dooi. You know, even though he's looking for Effortless, there are still these moments where he's keeping an eye out for potential totem locations. You know, he wasn't looking back near that tree for Effortless. He was like, has he put a totem there? Most laners do. Let me just quickly take the 1 second it takes to have a look.
Still no delay on the items. It's going to be very difficult for one player to get both of them, unless dooi pulls off a miracle with the orb, or one or the other actually gets a frag. Do have to say though, dooi has been doing a great job at stopping the totems from stacking up. I don't think Effortless has had more than 2 totems on the map at any point so far. He's finally putting one off the map, trying to hide it a bit from his opponent's perspective. But I don't know how that's gonna pan out. dooi gets himself onto the Heavy.
Now this is the potential for there to be a divide, and there is. There is a delay in between the two items now, so there's the potential for if one player can just get that one frag at the right time, you know, right before heavy spawns or something similar. You know, the chance to get a frag and then full control, kind of within the last 2 minutes, is going to be incredibly significant. The question is, who's going to make the first play? Right now, both players, you know, they're kind of looking to get a couple of rail angles here and there, but it's never enough that allows you to push. Tribot's going to come through, not going to hit its mark. Effortless hitting a lot more of those kind of, I suppose, initiation rails. And now dooi doubles back. Hasn't really got time for the orb here. He's very weak indeed, and minimal stack. He's got to be really careful about what his play is going to be in this situation. Effortless has no armor, but there's no health. dooi kind of really stuck between a rock and a hard place here. The lesser of two evils is going to be the rocket jump, and he doubles back, actually. Wonder if this is going to work out, or if he's going to just give up a rail angle eventually. Able to survive, and the chase comes through from Effortless. Wonderful rocket. 89 damage is one hell of a way to stay alive, and dooi, just like that, has reverse momentum, and even now keeping his eye out for totem locations. This late in the map, you cannot allow Effortless to just disengage, restack up, have way more stack than you, and just finish the job.
I think Effortless kind of missed the opportunity right there when he had control of center map, and he actually did have 3 totems up, so he gave himself a mega without having to go to the mega, while dooi was just starving for any resources at all over at heavy. And Effortless just, instead of pushing in, just tried to stop dooi from leaving, which he was unable to do. dooi looking around. They're there, dooi. They're there.
One.
There we go. I think he got it.
Don't take too much time. Oh, that's now twice. The orb has saved his skin. I was thinking, don't take too much time looking for the orbs. He's right around the corner. You know, dooi doesn't have the same luxury we do of seeing it, but that's definitely a survival horror moment right there.
Yeah, I don't know. It was really close. He might have been able to stay alive without using the orb, but it came down to millimeters at best.
I agree with not risking it, to be honest. Like, this late on in the map, if there's that 1% chance that you were wrong and it didn't work out, that would have been tragic way to go.
It was a lot more than 1% though that I could be wrong there. It was a good chance that he would have gone off completely. dooi applying a fair bit of pressure here. Will give him the heavy as a reward, and there we go. He's got a pretty nice angle.
Oops.
Or a route rather towards Mega. Takes a little bit of totem damage. Oh, this is risky for dooi. Bad place to be in. LG damage raining down on top of him.
Effortless looking to try and re-establish just more angles for damage. You know, he's able to make chase from quite a far distance. The problem is he's just not ever quite able to go in, right? Normally you have these initial bits of damage that you do, and doi's defensive shots, they're not doing crazy damage anymore. It's been about 5 minutes since he's done substantial defensive rockets. However, that one doing 100 is quite good. Does dooi go in? No, he doesn't teleport to the orb, losing the orb for what could be the last time. It depends on whether Effortless gets confident, has the stack to work with. Mega has just been taken, and doi's got to be very careful here. He's not making it easy to hit these angles. The thing is, I almost feel like, you know, dooi, he's playing entirely around Effortless. It's not really him kind of going in for the kill and looking to make chase. He's being crazy defensive, looking for angles when he can take them. If he concedes a rail, Effortless isn't quite able to go in and just finish the job.
That's also in parts just due to the nature of his character, though. Galena doesn't really have many offensive capabilities. She has no movements, particular abilities, or anything that allows her to do a lot of damage. This might be it. Out comes the orb. Lots of damage. Effortless. No armor left. Has to retreat. 100 points of health left. dooi not quite confident in chasing up the bounce pad, probably for the better, because that's always a death trap.
Oh, looking for the rail, but he's just basically frames too late. Fresh off the teleport to get the right read. However, that's a good rail there from Effortless. Looks like we're going to get another rotation of the Mega and Heavy, but Effortless being really aggressive. Looking to try and strong arm his way back on. Actually pushing so far ahead that he's forcing dooi real far away. Can he double back and collect the Mega? Looks like Effortless isn't interested in doing that just yet. And now potentially actually forced his hand. Effortless has no choice but to go back and respect the chance that it will come back. But dooi is quite weak. All it's going to take is one rail, and doi's going to be in a world of hurt. And he knows it. He's being defensive, misses the rail. Hang on. This is the potential avenue here for Effortless to be aggressive. dooi maintaining his just strong defensive stance, being so hard to just finish. These really awkward angles he takes on retreats, making it kind of hard for Effortless to hit a rail angle or something. Anything similar to it.
Clever maneuvers from dooi, though, just to not expose himself to too much damage. There's a lot that could have gone wrong in those situations, but dooi expertly positions himself away from too much damage, and he hasn't had to use his orb yet, so he's still hanging on to that one.
Getting rid of that totem, though, you could see in the X-ray, Effortless started moving the good rail shot there from Effortless. I was going to say, the moment dooi got rid of that totem, it gave Effortless the complete knowledge to just double back and go towards Heavy. the moment that totem disappeared, Effortless was on it. And that is, I guess, one of the drawbacks of the totems. Yes, you can take it away, but it does compromise your position. And in a sudden death, that can be quite scary indeed. dooi, the basic stack is full. May very well be enough to take a fight if he can land some initial damage as Effortless goes in. Like a rail just like that, it's going to undo a lot of that hard work from Effortless. Having just taken heavy and mega, there's a real potential there. But now dooi has to be really careful here. Yeah, just in and out. If there's a chance he's not going to win the fight, dooi doesn't take it. Like, he doesn't take any risks at all in these situations.
Yeah, back to setting up in his comfort zone over at LG, waiting for the small armor to spawn, just not going to push in at all unless he's certain of it. And I think the same kind of goes for Effortless side. Now, oh, that's a good amount of rail damage, 45 points of health. Effortless is going to push in. dooi sneaks right back out the way he came, but can't get the orb off in time. Effortless taking map 1.
It was an impressive display there from Effortless, honestly, because it feels like with how some of those frags got set up that it should have been more than a 2-1 for Effortless. Yeah. It's just, it was doi's, I mean, for lack of a better term, just weird dodging.
Yeah.
It wasn't kind of the conventional movement that you're familiar with, which, granted, is probably why it worked out so well for as long as it did. But at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily dooi playing hyper defensive for the entire map. It felt like he was always playing from behind.
Yeah.
Effortless was the one that was maintaining the stack. dooi was just able to essentially stay alive long enough, but there were very rarely situations there where dooi was like, right, I've set you up, I'm going to go in, I'm going to get the frag. He wasn't really taking those risks ever, and Effortless was rarely in a position where a frag could kind of go in his favor. When they did, dooi, there was a couple of instances there when the Tire Orb completely saved him from a ring out. If he wasn't playing as Ranger in this map, I mean, it could have been even more frags as a difference here.
Yeah. I think that Effortless played just a really well counter to doi's snail-paced matches by pretty much slowing the game down a ton himself, because we saw quite often that dooi was trying to set up a trap, right? Very often you saw dooi waiting up here at Railgun with the rocket out and the orb at the ready, trying to capture an unsuspecting Effortless coming around the corner, and I think Effortless caught on to that really quickly and just decided, you know what, I'm not gonna put myself in those positions, I'm just gonna get the Railgun, and then I'm not gonna come to these dangerous parts of the map unless I absolutely have to. So very clever counterplays.
I mean, if there's no reason to take the bait, it's nice for Effortless not to. We always talk about the progression, though, because sometimes Effortless in the earlier stages of Quake Pro League was kind of prone to falling victim to some of those traps in those situations. Like it was almost like a common term that was always used was the kind of champion movement, even though it was the movement he was utilizing was being used against him.
Yeah.
He was kind of flying around corners and not necessarily checking his avenues, and then bam, he just goes point blank into someone and he's gone. I really like the kind of progression that we're seeing here, that against dooi, that just wasn't even remotely the case. Effortless had the lead, understood that, and there's no reason to overextend. If dooi wants to take this to a one frag map, then so be it. Just play that game. As long as you're the one that has the frag lead, you have nothing to worry about. And when dooi was in a position, that's one thing that's actually kind of known to, especially right now, draw dooi back or hold dooi back, is when the opponent isn't playing into that, what does he do then?
Yeah.
It is all about kind of just reaching that next layer and that next set of choices you have to make. And so far in Quake Pro League Stage 2, when doi's kind of main objective isn't able to work, he does seem quite uncomfortable gameplay-wise. But we are going on to Blood Covenant, and wow, what a start. And, okay, 7 seconds in, and dooi gets the first frag.
Wow.
That certainly wasn't slow-paced.
Nope, not at all. Effortless, instead of going to his item, the Mega, decided to just go for the Railgun and try and push in aggressively. But dooi landing that beautiful mid-air rocket.
Oh, wow.
That's gonna hurt. Here we go, dooi in a little bit of trouble, though. Effortless immediately turning it back around, not taking his foot off the pedal one bit, and just right back at it. 1-1.
I liked his confidence that dooi was going to really kind of stick to the railgun. Effortless, he was using that rail cooldown against him during that fight, willing to concede the damage that was going to be taken, so long as he can hit the rockets he needs to. As long as he can do that, he's going to dish out more damage overall to dooi, therefore winning the fight. It's exactly what happened. dooi was trying to be quite aggressive there. It almost looked to me like fresh off the spawn, he knew Effortless had spawned further away, and he's just trying to deny that railgun from Effortless. He was almost like heading straight for it. Effortless had the same idea. He just took the fight better, and that's all there was to it. 1-1 now, only a minute gone. This is already potentially more frags than we saw on Awoken, and we have 9 minutes left to go. Oh. right as he swapped.
Nice double back. Yeah, excellent. 1, 2. Can he hit the third? He's just gonna switch to LG and Rockets to finish it off. No need to risk missing the rail. Nice damage off the spawn. What's Dooi gonna do? Dooi just gonna rush right out of there. Effortless, of course, sticking around a little bit, hoping that Dooi would double back and try and juke him.
Wow! That was a brilliant...
Oh,
yeah.
there we go.
But no, thing is, Effortless saying that in chat, you can tell why he fully dedicated to that play, right? He knew he was weak, so I'm going to jump down and beat him. The only way I'm going to die here is if he hits a direct rocket at the right time. What does Dooi do? Hits a direct rocket at the right time. Like that's like... Dooi may as well hit the lottery sometimes. Sometimes he's so on point with his reads.
That shouldn't have been a frag for Dooi.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, buddy.
Yeah, indeed. But it'll be 2-2, and Dooi somehow managing to tie things up again. And he actually has the time to make it over to Mega as well. This could be Dooi sending up a nice little rotation to get himself in control. He's got both of the major items. Effortless. He's got a 100-100 stack. Nothing too bad. But of course still outclassed by Dooi on Strog. Is he going to use Peeker? Because we haven't seen that. Not yet.
Yeah, he definitely had an idea that Effortless didn't know where he was at the time. The danger with Peeker is that he gives you away, doesn't he?
Yeah.
If Peek is anything, it's bloody noisy. And now he's gone in for the heavy. Able to get a bonus rail though from Effortless, able to stop that. And wonderful read there from Effortless actually. So confident that Dewey's going to double back.
Yeah, didn't work out for him the first time when he tried to do the spawn trap, but this time around Dooi did double back to exactly what he wanted. But even though Dooi took those 2 rails, his stack is already superior to his opponents. Because he has that freedom of movement, the speed on the crouch slide, and also, of course, he's got the item timing. Another excellent direct rocket. Effortless. I can see this tilt lesser players than Effortless. When you just get pelted with those direct rockets that you feel like you shouldn't be taking, it can be difficult.
And Dewey's done a wonderful job of doing them so far. LG on the jump pad. They always say that if you're the one going up the jump pad, you get that crazy trail of LG on the opponent. How about being the one that goes up the pad and juggles someone who wasn't even on it? Reactionary rockets to flip up there. Wonderful fights here from Dooi, who was just playing this so well. Effortless, unable to take any damage from the spawn, so it's definitely better than nothing. The danger is he's got no weapons. So Dooi using that as an opportunity to disengage, keep Effortless. Well, what's he going to do? I'm not really afraid. And hang on a minute. Staying put. This is going to be just that real ticket for Dooi to be aggressive. He knows now he's only going to have LG here. So if we do get a point-blank fight, not much to worry about. Now we have to worry a little bit because the rail missed and we take some of that bonus damage. But yeah, Effortless staying put, arguably for a bit too long, giving Dooi the opportunity to go there, grab the just heavy return, and he's still there. Potentially a fight down here in the catacombs, slightly off on the angle there from the rail. Yep. Dooi, his general combat skill in this map so far has been excellent. I mean, just look at this. His accuracy, his aim, with all 3 of the major weapons, they've all been phenomenal.
Effortless, he might have to start thinking about approaching this one differently, because so far this hasn't been working out for him at all. He's been getting caught out a lot, just trying to jump across from one side of the map to the other, and then eating LG like there's no tomorrow. Oh, Dooi, just a moment too soon. Would have been another frag for him, but Effortless. Stroke of luck. That rail missed.
You can almost assume that Effortless is potentially taken by surprise with just the accuracy here from Dooi. You know, rarely do you kind of have these intense, constant back and forths with him. He's not a very... Oh, Peeker from the air! Can he get the frag? Oh my god, catches it on the pillar. If Effortless survives this, I will be shocked. Looks like actually he might be able to though, Dooi. Looking to at the very least shut down. The question is, how does Effortless try to retreat? That Peeker would have been a kill, but it got caught on the pillar by the looks of things.
In retrospect, Dooi definitely shouldn't have activated the Peeker bomb mode. He should have just stayed flying around and he would have definitely guaranteed gotten the kill. There we go, lands the rail, missing that shot probably would have spelled the end for him. But damn, I would like to see Dewey's accuracy right now. Out comes the Berserk, and it's actually going to pay off. Not something you see very often at this level of play, but Effortless does make it work. He's got to be careful, though. Just 37 points of health to his name, and Dooi knows that his bone is low. He's trying to look for a way to capitalize off of that.
You take more risks than you would assume, too. Wow, Pika's been active for so long. Dooi, definitely, I think, keeping Pika out for a bit too long there. But as I was going to say, the Berserk with Doom, it kind of has multiple issues with it as an aggressive tool. You know, the immediate one is you get stuck in melee, right? So it's always, in its own nature, a huge risk to activate. But because it's a melee-based ability, you take a lot of damage to even get that frag. So it's very likely that after the frag comes out and they can, you know, respawn, you're weak as hell. So they have an opportunity to refrag you just because the Berserk, it costs so many resources. Just one of them is just stack.
Heavy will be the next major item to spawn. Effortless has got.
Wow, okay.
He actually knocked Dooi down. Dooi down below.
But now he's stuck in melee for a bit.
Yeah.
Dooi doesn't want to stick around to find out though because he's very weak. Effortless not quite able to make chase, but actually both players jumping down near Catacombs. If Effortless just stuck around a little bit longer, there would have potentially been an angle there to get some damage. Problem is he's not got a rail yet, so not able to really stick for those long-range shots just yet. Less than 3 minutes on the clock. Actually needs to, at some point, get himself a railgun, I think, just to make sure that he can get some of that long-range damage from Dooi. He's kind of, right now, flinging himself around the map.
Dooi's defensive damage has been so good. There's less than 3 minutes left, but Effortless just can't find a way in at all, because anytime he feels like he has the upper hand and takes the jump onto Dooi, Dooi's just like, oh, you want to direct to the face? Okay, here we go. There's a rocket, 100 damage. You go right back. You need to stack up a little bit. The LG, that's gonna hurt!
Oh, the pillar!
Yeah, the pillar more or less saved him right there. Effortless, you gotta push this one, man. Looks like Dooi will get away, though.
Those pillars on the bridge, saving his skin. Keeping him alive just a little bit. Effortless, though, with a 33 HP and not much else. Still available with the 58 he's working on. As long as Dooi double jumps around the corner, using that patented Doomslayer movement, just make his corner advance just a little bit more unpredictable. Looked a little bit like Dooi was half prepared for it, but still aimed a little bit too low underneath his feet there. The danger is Dooi, I mean, he's been quite fast-paced here. The thing is, less than 2 minutes on the clock, he's got 7-3. He can start being the patented slow-paced defensive Dooi easily. Now he has this little time left to go. And Effortless, he's shooting those rockets. He has no idea where he is at this point.
And Dooi heard his opponent rocket jump straight over him, didn't do anything to react, didn't even look the way of Effortless, but just quietly snuck back out of the room and went to the other side of the map. And even though Effortless is in full control, just look at the stack he has. Dooi is playing an extremely evasive game. It doesn't look like Effortless will be able to do much about it.
I must say that Dooi's Pika hasn't been super good throughout this map today. The Kamikaze's missed its mark certainly more than once, but it's not really about the Kamikaze on this map. It's been that crisp movement combined with just absolutely phenomenal aim with the main weapons. He's point blank. His rockets have been fantastic. His LG trails off jump pad have been delicious. The rails, when they need to hit, they're hitting. Can't go wrong, really. Dooi's just played his cards right, really. Effortless has had a really hard time, I think, keeping up with it. I think he somewhat was taken by surprise by just how crazy these fights have been for Dooi so far. That almost looked like a fake rocket jump to me. Dooi, you cheeky man.
I don't know, because it's a difficult angle to rocket jump from. It's entirely possible that Dooi just kind of bumped his head against the ceiling and fell back down. But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Without seeing his angle, we'll just give him the benefit of the doubt. And that was definitely a fake out from Effortless, trying to bait him down the other side. Yeah,
trying to give the impression that he was going for the nail gun jump. And Dooi is not going to move at all. Here we go. He's going to find...
Oh dear.
At least he's got something to feel good about to end the map on, you know? It's not that often that you get a gauntlet frag at the level of the Quake Pro League.
Oh, we tried to teabag as well.
Yeah.
He was going to get a bonus final frag with a little bit of the fastest bags in the West, but unfortunately he couldn't quite get it at the end. Not that it would have mattered, but, you know, it's... I denied that from you at the very end. We've all been there before, where we're trying to get that last little frag that says, you know what? Up yours, mate. But fundamentally, that does mean that Dooi's going to take the second map. Yep. So now we're going into that final map matters scenario. It's not going to be just about a crazy extension of points. It's making sure that, hey, one of us is going to get a win, finally, in this third map. And again, I always have to kind of bring us back. We're in week number 8, and these players aren't super far away from each other on the leaderboard.
Yep.
It's more, in that essence, I think, impressive on Dooi's aspect, because, you know, Dooi was new to Stage 2. So the fact that he's already kind of around this area... That's pretty damn impressive for someone who had no points going into it. So he's had to go for an early climb much faster than everyone else. But that doesn't stop. Yeah, crazy start. We're going to get that ridiculous rocket as well, the one that Effortless felt a certain way about, I think. But Yeah, if Effortless is able to get a win here, it's fantastic, especially when you compare him to Genic, who needs to really hope for as many 3-0s as he can get. You know, Genic is a player that has a bye week. Yeah, that was the rocket. That had to be a direct, otherwise he was done. You know, good stuff there from dooi. But Effortless, realistically, he needs this win. He needs this win, and he needs Genic to fail.
I really hope that Effortless can rise above this loss and still play the same high level of Quake that we know him for in the final map. Because as you said, he showed a few signs of tilting right there. The comment after that interesting rocket taking him out. So Effortless, it's important that he keeps his composure. I love that little berserk punch right there. Just a double jump up and then the punch dooi right back off. Here we go, the gauntlet. Gonna put a smile on his face, but dooi, and of course Effortless, essentially just stand still, backing it out, but it's not going to go anywhere.
If that was a normal 1v1, he wouldn't have done that. Absolutely, of course. No. Of course not, but, you know, he was just trying to go for the nice bonus of, if I get you here, it's fine. If not, eat this.
Yeah.
Eat this, mate. So, yeah, we're on a final map situation. And, I mean, there are so many moving parts to why this final map matters. You know, I mentioned Genic. He's just one player that's kind of on the lower end of Americas.
Yeah.
And, you know, Effortless being one of those players, he has to get this win. You know, as many wins as he can get this late, it's fine. You know, if dooi just maintains his consistency, I don't really think he has much to worry about. Obviously, we'll find out at the end of the day when we look at the final standings after the scores get updated. But final map situation, Effortless with the Ison, dooi trading one big body for another with the Scale Bearer taken away. It's going to be Saw Lag as the second best.
Interesting picks right here. dooi, of course, he's got the most of the speed, the movability.
Oh, nice.
But damn, that's that's a bad rocket to take at the start. It's a bit of a repeat of the last map, but this time in the opposite direction. And Effortless playing the ice and managing to secure himself both major items, all because of that one rocket that sent dooi recoiling for a moment.
Effortless with the totem? Turret is the word I was looking for. Down near the Mega. That's more, I think, just, again, information. You know, Effortless was nowhere near the Mega, but if dooi gives his position away, the turret will say otherwise. Effortless gets the first frag. Acid over time, stop the bleeding, but there's a lot of nice little pickups towards Railgun Rim.
He's gonna survive the acid, of course, but the problem is that it gave away his position entirely to dooi. dooi off spawn knew exactly that Effortless had decided to go for the railgun rather than any other weapon or position of the map. Effortless, I don't know about this one. He's gotta be careful. dooi has got a huge stack in comparison. Gonna throw down the turret and just get out.
Has allowed dooi to kind of just double back. He's hit these rails, misses the first shot. There's always quite a scary situation, but to be honest, it actually looks like dooi's not interested in fighting for this heavy. You know, and dooi's not a player that's going to always... He's not going to fight for every single major pickup, you know, tooth and nail. He's totally happy to concede sometimes. If he's comfortable with his own stack and his own weapons, he will sometimes just concede to be in a better position for the next time he wants to make a play.
Yep. And of course, dooi is playing the heavy champion. He's got more base stack than his opponent, and that does help over time. Makes it a lot easier for him to reach the same level of stack without having to go for any of the major items. So even though Effortless has taken both of the items right now, dooi really isn't in that bad of a fighting shape, and one good rocket could really turn things around, rather. That's exactly what dooi's gonna make happen, but the rockets from Effortless were superb. And the lizard, she has to get out. The rail would have killed her. Can Effortless find the angle? No, once again!
Effortless. I mean, if he loses this fight, I will be super impressed that
there we
even
go.
managed to happen. dooi finally gets it. Should have got that frag about 15 seconds ago. But you know what? 2-0. He'll absolutely take that. dooi off the spawn. All he's got in hand is an LG. And if Effortless was comfortable with the stack and turret, he could win that 1v1 easily. And now, dooi's going to spawn again. Deny. Take away the light armor. The trap does get sprung, and it looks like a trap that's more than successful. And that's what doooi's not shy of. You know, it is that slow pace from dooi where as long as he's got stack and a rocket or something to do crazy damage, he will be totally unfazed with how stacked you are. You know, if he has a large champion, those traps work quite wonderfully.
If I had to make a prediction, that moment is going to change Effortless's playstyle for the entirety of the rest of the map. Now he knows that dooi is back to his old trapping manners. And he's got to be careful, he's going to be cautious, he's going to try and play around that, checking every single corner and trying not to fall for any more of these. He does have 2 frags of a lead still. It's going to help him out a lot.
Can he get in and out with the Mega? Looks likely. basically 0 damage dealt as he goes in towards that Mega there. And at the same time, the Acid Spit wasn't used in the previous fight either. So if dooi is able to somehow spring another trap, it's going to be a combination of crazy high stack, rocket damage, and Acid Spit, all ready to go at the same time. And Effortless will have to be worried about that. 10 seconds and he can deploy a turret again. Which is going to tie just a little bit too late for the Mega. This is going to have to be quite an honest 1v1. Swapping to the LG, dooi confident in his fight, minimal damage on the rockets, and combine that with a wonderful stack and the fact that the Mega got collected. Dooi happily takes that fight again. The light armor is ready to collect, and there should be some other decent pickups on this side of the map to shy it down slightly. Turret's going to get deleted. Information for Effortless, and also information for dooi. He knows the light armor is not worth picking up because it ain't there yet.
I'm a little skeptical about that play from Effortless though, because you've got 2 frags of a lead, you're almost halfway through the map essentially, and you still just set up way early for Mega, knowing that there's a very angry and very stacked lizard coming at you any moment. Effortless now though does manage to get both of the major items. He's got Heavy, he's got the Mega now as well. dooi kinda forced to play things a little bit more cautiously right now.
It does open up that question of, Effortless had the lead before and he fell victim to a pretty standard trap there from dooi, literally just waiting around the corner, right?
Yeah.
And springing the trap, as if we were doing a free-for-all or something. But the fact of the matter is, Effortless is the one that has the lead. And he knows now that that is a serious threat, something he has to worry about. With the 5-minute warning already coming into play, the fact that Effortless has a wonderful stack, and he's, you would think he's learnt his lesson from the last time the trap was sprung. Now they're going to trade a rail. Trades aren't good for dooi while he has default stack here. Even though heavies do have quite a nice natural stack, if the other player's in full control, that's only going to really mean so much. The rockets come through, but it's not enough. dooi has to get some damage here while conceding nothing. Unfortunately, that's not going to work out. 2 rails, and now dooi in a very, very difficult spot. Railable with this health. And before I can even finish saying why he's railable, he eats a rail. dooi was turning around looking for a rail angle. He knew that was a threat, though. I have no doubt he was, well aware that that was a threat. But the spawn, off you go. See you later. Tell Rafa we said hi.
Yeah, down Rafa's ledge he goes. And Effortless extending his lead. The one thing I was worried about being him losing his control after that loss on the previous map definitely isn't coming through. Effortless playing a tactical, strong game, keeping his composure. Setting up for Mega right now, and he's got plenty of time to make his way over to Heavy as well. He's even gonna deny some of the small armors to dooi, knowing of course that the Lizard is likely going to be out of control, and he's gonna take advantage of that.
Now as dooi makes these plays, the pressure does start to ramp up quite a lot. The fact of the matter is, there's not a huge amount of this map left to go. About 3.5 minutes or so. That turret is gonna at least put the pressure on dooi and force dooi away, while Effortless can, just back up, look for a rail angle once again, reposition. Oh, misses the rail, and that one too, both of which would have been very important to stop dooi from doing exactly what he's looking to do now. Can he get to the health bubble? Just in time. A second later, then Effortless would have died to damage over time right there.
Oh no,
Perfect.
Just stopped dead in his tracks. Of course, jumping into LG, that's going to kill your momentum with the knockback, make you a sitting duck and such an easy target. Again, Effortless stealing away the Heavy, taking some damage in return, but dooi unable to really chase. The turret is helping out as well. And there we go, 5 frags of a lead for Effortless. This is not something that I expected.
Looks like this is a real opportunity for Effortless to take the 2-1 victory here over dooi. dooi forced in a position now where there's not a lot of this map left to go, and he has to start being more aggressive because this is Molten Falls. It's one of the larger maps. You can't really string like a constant rapid-fire string of frags on the map this big, so I think dooi's aware he has to just try and make something happen. If he just sits around and plays too defensive now, he's just going to allow the map to end naturally, and he can't do it anymore. Even if he's run out of time, he has to try. Really make something happen
Wow.
here. And that's going to be a frag. He took some damage, but there's lots of ways he can stop the bleeding. Can he do it? I mean, 2 minutes and 5 frags on a map this big. Effortless spawns a mile away. He's looking to just disengage, get some stack back up. Not looking to give his position away.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced dooi knows where he is either.
And Effortless knows, he's fully aware that dooi, in order to make the comeback happen, has to kind of go for the trap. So he's just like, you know what, I'm going to set up on the top of the map. If you're going to come through teleporter, I'm going to hear you coming from a mile away. Same goes from the bounce pad over at Heavy. and then I'm just gonna do a lot of damage and make my escape, and that's exactly how he's playing the end of this map. Dooi messing up the rocket jump. That's not gonna help, but actually, it does kind of foil his opponent's plans and fools Effortless into dropping down. Damage over time does start to ramp up, but with just a minute left on the clock, things are looking extremely dire for Dooi.
And Effortless's weapon choices have really used Sorlag's movement against us. Speaking of which, full speed ahead. Hello, Effortless. Now, we have just over a minute. If Dooi gets some absolutely fantastic spawns, I mean, for the sake of how close these maps are and how both players need it, I guess we can never say never just for the sake of, you know, suspense. But realistically, this really is Effortless's map to win. He's wasting so much time here that this, by all accounts, should be a 2-1 victory. And as I was saying, you know, using Sorlag's fast movement against her, I think Effortless has been quite aware. By the way, hello, head-on collision, and a rocket. Really good. Now, 3 frags in 30 seconds. We'll keep everything crossed just in case.
Yeah, Dewey's rockets have been amazing, but the time it's fleeting, slipping through his hands. He's got the speed though.
Oh, the rail!
Yeah.
Oh, that was perfect. It just slowed all the momentum down.
Yep, and did enough damage to make him reconsider that push. And now with 15 seconds left to go, I think it's all but done by now. Effortless will be taking home the series 2-1. Congratulations. I think a lot of people would have bet on Dooi to take this one.
Myself included, just by going by previous results. You know, Effortless getting a 2-1 here over Dooi is a fantastic result for him and an important result at that. This late on in Stage 2 of the Pro League, where these weeks, you know, every single map will begin to count a lot more than you might expect. You know, the real nature of Quake Pro League is that from week 1, every map counts. But I think, you know, we start to think about it a bit more the later we go on, because they start to become a little bit more finalized. You can look at how badly players need maps. That does kind of in turn put more pressure on players, because they know, like, well, now I've had all these weeklies to go. I now know that I've got to win this map, or I have to 3-0 this week, or whatever it is. It's already a stressful environment, and that just amplifies that pressure times 10. So the fact that Effortless has been able to keep nice and composed, looked very much like, I mean, he knew who he was going against, right? He knew he was going up against Dooi this week. Looks like he'd done a plenty enough of homework here. You know, there was, as the maps had progressed, the strategies ranged from matching that slow pace, but keeping a lead, so Dooi looks kind of uncomfortable doing that, and down to the final map where he knew the Sorlag pick movement was going to be a major factor here, especially against Ison, who simply can't move as fast as Sorlag can, so it's likely Dewey's going to be kind of aggressive sometimes, you know, when he feels he has to, like we started to see throughout the course of the map. And Effortless, every time that happened, you know, he had the LG at the ready, and how much damage did Dooi take before he could even swap to the right weapon? You know, his momentum would get stopped, it'd get slowed down, and before he could even swap to the right weapon, he'd taken so much LG damage, there's no way he can survive the fight. Effortless just looked ready this week, and I'm really impressed with what we saw.
It really just illustrates the importance of getting to know your opponent, studying the way he plays and approaches certain maps and scenarios, and clearly Effortless did just that. And at the start we were saying Dooi is relatively safe, but still, he is absolutely not, or nowhere near being in the clear when it comes to the relegation. If he, again, underperforms next week and loses another map, he is at a serious risk of having to face one of the challengers when it comes down to it.
And it's starting to open up somewhat of a storyline of the later we go on in Stage 2, the more people start to do a little bit better against Dooi. Dooi fell to Dramas last week, if memory serves me correctly, and now falling to Effortless this week. There's always a potential that now he's played a lot more in his style. You know, Dooi is one of those players that has a very, very distinct style in Quake Champions. And one would say maybe that's a style that can start to get downloaded a little bit. It's not something that Dooi is 100% sticking to. As we saw on Blood Covenant, it wasn't a dig my heels in and kind of set up shop like we were, you know, familiar with at the very start of things. But the fact of the matter is, Dooi came into Stage 2 fresh. There were no Stage 1 points. There was no legacy there, no previous points. So he's really, like many of our players, you know, we're seeing Cypher very, very soon throughout the course of the night. If you came in Stage 2, you're almost never safe from relegation because you have no fallback. You have to play well every week because there's no kind of safety net that the Stage 1 players will have, which opens up another dynamic, which is kind of why Dooi and Effortless are in similar boats, even though one came in Stage 2 and one was Stage 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you made a very good point about Dewey's playstyle. No one in the league was ready or accustomed to someone willing to go 1-0 for a 10-minute map and then just running down the clock for that long. But Dooi just brought that kind of really passive aggressive playstyle to the American side of the league. But right now, who knows? Maybe people are catching on. But that's been it for the second map. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be back soon.